Hello and welcome to the final day of October and the final day of Vlogtober. My name is Lauren. I live in southern New England with my husband and our two young children. And I'm so glad that you've joined me this month for Vlogtober. Today's video is a multi-crafting one. I spent my afternoon on Halloween doing various crafty things before my children came home and we went out trick-or-treating. But before any of that, I needed to use my Halloween themed mug just one more time at least. I am currently on the second step in naturally dyeing some yarn. This yarn is going to be used to knit my children new vests. I had knit them vests that they were wearing at Rhinebeck, which were both naturally dyed by me as well. And those are getting just a little bit snug, and so this is going to be the next, nope, that word's not coming out today. These are gonna be the next vests that I knit for my children. The stage that I'm at is the Mornington stage. In this, I'm using allium and cream of tartar. And what this does is it helps the dye to adhere to the fiber during the dyeing process. This story really starts with my Spinners Guild meeting and an amazing shawl that a member had woven. The member had woven this triangular shawl on what she called a triangle loom. And I had no idea what this was. And so I came home from the Spinners Guild and I immediately looked up what is a triangle loom. And I found that these are wooden looms where nails are driven around the outside, sort of around the rim of the wooden loom, and they retail for $300 to $400 maybe for a loom the size of the one that she had, which was a 7-foot loom. And being a fairly thrifty and I guess creative maker style person, I thought we could make this. I could make one of these looms for a substantial amount of money less than what they're selling for. And so that is what my husband and I have started to do here. So my husband kindly has cut the wood for me, and I am now in the process of marking out the spacing for all of the holes that I will drill, and then the nails to be put in for the weaving itself. Once all the holes are drilled into this, I will be sanding it down, and then I will be putting a light stain on this before placing the nails into it. I intend on trying to get video of every stage of this, and at the end be able to show the complete process from start to finish of how we made our triangle loom. I have been trying to teach myself how to spin on a spindle. Unlike most people, I learned how to spin wool on a spinning wheel. So I decided I was going to learn to spin, and I went out and I bought a wheel and I took a class and I learned how to spin that way. And so I never picked up how to spindle spin. And a few years ago, I was at a sheep shearing event with my family, and my daughter saw a demonstration on a spindle spin, on a spindle, yarn being spun on a spindle, and she thought that this was really interesting and it looked, I guess, approachable for her. You know, she didn't need to have a whole big spinning wheel or lots of equipment. It was just a little spindle. And so at the time I thought, oh, well, maybe that is a good idea to teach her how to spin first on a spindle. The only problem was that I didn't know how to spin on a spindle. And so I went out and I bought 2 of these spindles. I'm pretty sure they're basic shack spindles. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to spin on a spindle and then I can teach her. Only it was not as easy as I thought it was gonna be. I thought that since I could already spin on a wheel, that it was gonna be just a matter of learning how to do it on the spindle. And the yarn kept breaking, the spindle kept dropping over and over again, and it wasn't going so well. And then, I just messed that up. And then at some point, a few weeks ago, I was thinking, completely unrelated to like spindling, and then the phrase park and draft came into my head, and I remembered hearing about this method of how to spin on a spindle that I hadn't remembered, even though I know at the time that I watched several videos, and I think I even read some articles in some of the spinning magazines, but none of it it clicked. And then I remembered the whole idea of the park and draft, where you spin it, you get the twist in it, and then you slowly let the twist up into the fiber as it's parked between your knees. And so I got the spindles back out again. I think this was probably about last weekend, and I was like, oh, let me try it again and see if I can get it. And I have had much more success with getting it to spin. So I find that some of the things that I had to do when I was first learning how to spin, I had to do them again, or more so than I do with my spinning on the wheel. And so some of the things that I do that I don't need to do anymore, rather, on the spinning wheel, is that I don't usually pre-draft the fiber out very much. I can spin sort of as it is. But I found with the spindle spinning, it's best to put it into small sections and then to tear down the roving so that I have sort of thinner pieces, and that allows me to then not have to draft as much as I spin it. And I'm still, obviously, I'm still not all the way there yet, but it is definitely getting a little bit easier, and I have it much more successful time while I spin it without it actually dropping on the ground quite as often as it had been. So I think it's coming along. I think one of the motivators behind the idea of learning how to drop spindle has been just so that first of all, from a portability perspective, it's a lot easier to bring a spindle if you're going to an event, or if you're going to be outside, somewhere. A spindle is a little bit easier equipment than bringing your spinning wheel. And then the next thing was that I have shacked wheels. I have a shack ladybug, a shack flat iron, and a travel wheel, the sidekick, and they do not look particularly historic in any way. So if I ever was to go to a historic event or wanted to attend anywhere, they would not fit in. They are the ladybug and the sidekick both have brightly colored wheels, and they just wouldn't fit in a historical event. So I thought that it would be best to learn to spin on something like this, just in case I ever did want to go to sort of one of those open days at a historical house locally or in the state. Then I could bring a spindle and demonstrate spinning on that. How was your candy haul, Al?
Good. Yeah, that's sufficient. satisfactory.
What did you do on Halloween?
Good.
Yeah, did you get good candy?